Hey everyone, welcome to Daily Revelations. Finishing up Second Kings today, and this chapter or book of the Bible has been more difficult for me to go through than it ever has been before. And I think as we've been going through it through different strains, the application to family and life and just how God's will is done. Let's just put it that way. And there's not always ways that we can do anything about it. And unfortunately, we live in a world where we act like we can control how God does something. And we don't even realize we're doing it. And I think that was the big realization that came to me today was just how much we say that look at what God has done in my life. Look at the favor that he has poured out on me. Yet the Bible specifically tells us that none of us are worthy of anything from God. We all fall short and we all deserve condemnation. So where does that favor come from? It's favor is what it is. And God chooses to give it to whoever and however he chooses. And I looked at that and I thought, you know what? No matter what our decisions are, no matter what others' decisions are around us, no matter how the sins of our family have been affected, God's favor is God's favor. And he chooses it to give it as he does. Because in the end, it's not about us. It's about his purpose. And so we can say, as we're on social media or all these other places, look what God did for me. But we're missing the point when we do that, aren't we? We're missing the point because it's not about what God did for me. The point is about what gives God glory. And why is he doing that specific thing to bring himself glory, not to bring us favor? And I wrote down, am I doing my best to serve God to get over the bad things and to claim the good things? Or am I seeking him and his glory apart from those things? And that's a completely different mindset. But it doesn't mean that we disdain God's favor. God's favor, yay. I'm glad when God's favor is over me. But when God can be shown through me, whether it looks like I'm being given favor or not, am I okay with that? Am I willing to take that on and say, you know what? It's not about me. It's about God. And it's about his glory that will be served in the end. And maybe these circumstances on the outside to the rest of the world look pretty awful, just like they did in the end of Second Kings. Basically, the kings were taken into exile, people were executed, Jerusalem was burnt down, even the temple, the houses, the wall was destroyed. There was nothing left. And the people that were left rebelled even against the governor that was put there, and they left. That's how bad it was. So God's favor was definitely not on them. But was his glory? Yes, it was. How? Well, because in his prophecies, he had already said this was going to happen if you rebelled. So God proved himself true. And God would bring them back again to establish his glory. We can see, if we serve God, his weaving of his glory in our lives. And that's what we have to seek more than anything else, not his favor. Because if we're just seeking his favor, we can get so disappointed with life and so stuck in, why is he not blessing me? I'm doing all these things the way he says I should be doing them, and yet my life is falling apart. Yeah, that happens. We live in this world that is not perfect, and God uses those things, whether it's caused by our own sin, somebody else's sin, or just the sin of the world, so that we can point people to Him. Not that out of our good circumstances and say, look, He's a God who blesses. Yes, He does, but He's also the God who enacts justice and who does a whole lot of other things that sometimes we don't want to deal with. But we have to take God as who He is in His entirety. And that's a God that we need to fear as much as we need to love, because He's God. And He chooses to be our friend, but yet He created everything around us, and He is so powerful. And we need to humble ourselves before Him and say, you know what? However you choose to show your glory to the world through me, do it. And that's the point we need to come to if we really want to be His servant. And that was my word for the day to myself, was serve God no matter what. Bring Him glory, and don't seek favor. Those are the little brownie points that come in between the glory stuff. But when we can really rejoice that He is getting glory above all things, then we're truly serving Him and doing what He's called us to do. So hope that was an inspiration to you. It definitely was a good way for me to end 2 Kings, because I can look at all of the things that are not going right and do not have God's favor over them, and I can get really bogged down in them. But yet, is God getting glory through my life? Yes. And that's what it's all about. And that's what it's about in your life too. So be encouraged. We're going to head into some prophecies tomorrow, and then we're going to dive into worship. So thanks for being on this journey with me, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye, everybody. If I can get the video to the end.